Hello everyone, welcome back to class. Today we will talk about imitation and modeling. According to David Wessling and Lisa Fox in their book called Teaching Students with Severe Disability 2009, young people and people with disability can learn new skills through these 4 ways: differential reinforcement, verbal direction, physical contact or guidance, and observation and imitation of others. So today we will talk about imitation, which is one of the 4 ways that a teacher can use to teach new behaviors to their students. So with an understanding of the imitation process, teachers and practitioners can use imitation as an intervention to evoke new behaviors. Imitation has received considerable experimental and theoretical attention spanning several decades. The experimental literature shows that individuals can acquire and maintain imitative and echoic behavior in the same fashion as they acquire and maintain other operant behavior. That is, reinforcement increases the frequency of imitation. When some imitative behaviors receive reinforcement, other imitative behaviors occur without specific training and reinforcement, and some children who do not imitate may be taught to do so. For behavior and environment relations functionally define imitation. 1. Any physical movement may function as a model for imitation. A model is an antecedent stimulus that evokes the imitative behavior. 2. An imitative behavior must immediately follow the presentation of the model, like within 3 to 5 seconds. 3. The model and the behavior must have formal similarity. 4. The model must be controlling variable for an imitative behavior. So now let's take a look at each of the 4 behavior and environment relations. Again, any physical movement may function as a model for imitation. A model is an antecedent stimulus that evokes the imitative behavior. There are 2 types of models: planned models and unplanned models. Planned models are prearranged antecedent stimuli that help learners acquire new skills or refine the topography of certain elements of existing skills. So as you see in my article about video modeling intervention, the models in the video clip in the video modeling intervention can be the example of planned models. And unplanned models, all antecedent stimuli with the capacity to evoke imitation are potentially unplanned models. Unplanned models occasion many new forms of behavior because imitating the behavior of others in everyday social interaction frequently produce new and helpful adaptive behaviors. Formal similarity occurs when the model and behavior physically resemble each other and are in the same sense mode. For example, when a student observes a teacher finger spell the word house and then duplicates the finger spelling, the imitative finger spelling has formal similarity with the model. Immediacy. The temporal relation of the immediacy between the model and the imitative behavior is an important feature of imitation. However, a form of an imitation may occur at a later time in the context of everyday life situations. For example, a young person on her first bus ride who used imitation to learn how to pay the fare may use her newly learned behavior to pay the bus fare for her return trip when no other passengers have paid fares before her. When the topography of a previous imitation occurs in the absence of the model, like paying the bus fare, that delayed behavior is not an imitative behavior. The delayed behaviors of paying the bus fare in the context previously presented have similar topographies as the imitated behaviors, but occur as a result of different controlling variables. Like the relation between discriminative stimuli, for example, the device for collecting the bus fare, or motivating operations, and delayed behaviors are functionally different from the relation between a model and an imitative behavior. So, delayed behaviors using the topography of a prior imitative model are not imitative. A controlled relation. We often see imitative behavior as doing the same. Although the formal similarity of doing the same is a necessary condition of imitation, it is not sufficient. Formal similarity can exist without the model functionally controlling the similar behavior. The controlling relation between a model and the similar behavior is the most important property that defines imitation. A controlling relation between the behavior of a model and the behavior of the imitator is inferred when a novel model evokes a similar behavior in the absence of a history of reinforcement for that behavior. An imitative behavior is a new behavior that follows a novel antecedent event, such as the model. After the model evokes an imitation, that behavior comes into contact with contingencies of reinforcement. These new contingencies of reinforcement then become the controlling variable for the discriminated operand. Most children, they acquire many skills by imitating unplanned models. So parents, caregivers, or teachers, they do not have to prepare or apply specific interventions to facilitate the development of imitative skills. However, some young children or children with disability, they do not imitate. In that case, we have to apply imitation training. So building on the experimental methods of Baer and colleagues, Striffel in 1974 developed an imitation training program for practitioners. So his protocol includes assessing and teaching if necessary, prerequisite skills for imitation training, and selecting models for training, and then pre-testing, and then sequencing models for training, and then conducting imitation training. If you want to apply his protocol and if you need to do some imitation training, take a look at your chapter from page 415. If you want to apply this imitation training in your classroom, keep the training sessions active and brief. And if your students' participation requires a reinforcers other than praise, it should be presented immediately in a small amount that the student can consume quickly. And you can pair verbal praise and attention with tangible reinforcers. And if students' progress breaks down, back up and move ahead slowly. You can measure and record students' performance and review the data after each session. And you should fade out verbal praise, verbal response prompts, and physical guidance gradually. And then you have to stop motor imitation training when the student consistently imitates noble models or when the student imitates a sequence of behaviors.